What are y'all smelling?
They smell so clean. These are opulent candles.
Yeah.
W.P. Miller. You have to get some. Hello, and thank you for joining us. You've officially tuned in to Living in the Moment with Let Us Live magazine. I'm your host, Oroscia L, and today's guest is an event producer, entrepreneur, overall boss man, Mr. William P. Miller. Hello, sir.
Hello there. How are you?
I am wonderful. Listen, I have to tell you, I'm loving these Cali vibes.
I'm glad you are.
Yes, we are loving it. In addition to that, thank you so much for allowing us into your wonderful, wonderful home.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate you guys coming, traveling from Atlanta here to Compton, California.
Yes.
I'm glad that you're here.
Speaking of that, I have to ask, why Compton and not LA?
Well, Compton is going through a gentrification process.
Okay.
You know, and a lot of times we wait until things have changed and we miss the opportunity.
Yes.
So I wanted to get in on the opportunity.
You seize that moment.
Oh yeah, I saw Harlem. I saw what Harlem went through.
Okay.
It was an area at one time when I first went to Harlem, I was like, now I'm like,
Yeah.
So, I want to get in on the opportunities.
Understood.
Yeah. And Compton is, it's a great city.
Okay, yeah.
President Bush lived here. Of course, Venus and Serena lived here.
Yes.
Kevin Costner was born in this area.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Ava DuVernay she's from this community.
Love her.
Yeah, a bunch of judges and lawyers. And
it's the place to be.
I think that they say that more educators and of principals of schools live in the Compton community. Okay. More than any other place.
Very nice.
So I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
We just had an Oscar winner this year.
Oh.
Look it up.
I will. I love to do my research, so I will. Well, again, thank you so much for welcoming us. So I'll go ahead and get started for all of our viewers. So I know that, speaking of research, you are originally from Chicago.
Chi-Town, Southside.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, how was your childhood?
Oh man, my childhood was amazing.
Okay.
I grew up and my father was a vice president of a banker. My mother was a homemaker. And I grew up in a community that I can really say I'm so glad of Facebook because it has sort of brought us all back together.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, my classmates, people who I grew up with since kindergarten, we still keep in contact.
Oh, very nice.
Still pick up the telephone and call each other to see how you're doing to check in.
Yes. And
they're like, although you're out there in California doing your thing, remember, this is home here.
Yes.
And I tell you, like my teachers, I have a teacher right now that still follows me on Facebook. And if I post something that has a mistake in it, she's going to correct it. So the South Side of Chicago was great. It had its the pros and cons.
Okay.
One of the things that I did like about it is that being on the South Side, it was pretty much all black.
Yes.
And when I say all black, it was all black.
Yes.
So that was good because I was able to learn about my history to the point that I remember when February was announced as Black History Month, I was like, well, why do we need a Black History Month? I'm learning it all the time.
That's a beautiful thing, though.
But then I got older and two things I learned, realized is that the segregation is not really good because the world is not built that way. You have to get it, to get to know other cultures, learn about their histories, and of course the food is great. Yeah. And you have to have friends. There's certainly a big strength in having friendships and relationships of a diverse background. That's really, really important as well. But Chicago was great. I mean, I love it. I love Los Angeles more now, but I have a great appreciation for Chicago.
Very nice. How would you say that your childhood helped shape your success for today?
My childhood, so I would say that a big part of the creative process was probably from my mom's inspiration. Okay. My mother was the type of person, on St. Patrick's Day, guess what? The house is green and white. Yeah. Valentine's Day, guess what? Red and white is everywhere. Yes. Christmas time, we start decorating in Christmas probably just after Thanksgiving. So that was a big part of the childhood. The business aspect of it probably came more so from my father, who was a businessman.
Okay.
He worked. He was a banker, and he was educated. I think he had been graduated college and out of the military at 22.
Okay.
So, he always taught me to thrive and have a sense about financial economics.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. We had some challenges. My parents, they divorced when I was 9.
Okay.
And so, but, we got through it.
Yeah.
And so that was great. But I love to go home. I love to visit the neighbors on my block.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and my neighbors, my moms and parents of other kids of me growing up, since we have all sort of moved away.
Yes.
They get together, they eat. One person might bring greens, the other may bring chickens.
I love it.
They still have that community there.
Yes.
And that community is really, really important. I would say that I learned how to communicate with everybody on different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, when I got ready to come to Los Angeles, I was concerned about leaving my mom.
Okay.
But the people was like, oh, we got it taken care of. And so my mom was sort of like the community mom. Everybody goes over there. They see her more than they talk to me. So it's a great feeling. We have a great sense of community in the area that I grew up in Chicago.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to do what you did.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was young, I tell you, I used to, being the adventurous person that I am, I used to take the train downtown and I would see Lake Michigan.
Okay.
And I used to wonder, what's on the other side? It doesn't end here. It's got to be something on the other side. And so that type of curiosity pushed me into wanting to work for an airline. Mm-hmm. And so once I got to work, for United Airlines, the bug hit. I saw not only what was on the other side of the lake, but the world and more. It was like, it's more out there.
Absolutely.
I had, my parents are very supportive in terms of me seeing what was outside of the area that they lived in. And then I had a cousin, Bernie, who actually encouraged it more. I remember we were supposed to be asleep a couple of times downstairs.
Yes.
And we out the window and ain't no telling where in the city that where we were. And so, I remember that. It was Chicago was a great city. And my younger self, I went to church often. Church boy. I don't think very few people, black people anyway, in Chicago can grow up and not really attend church.
Understood.
So that helped strengthen my faith.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of good influencers outside of my father as well. Dr. Jeremiah Wright, he was a great influence on me. I used to love to go hear Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, wow.
Just to be there and to be a young person, to be welcomed inside the mosque.
Yes.
It was just incredible for me. And my pastor of the Apostolic Church of God in Christ, Bishop Opta M. Brazier.
Okay.
I remember I was just mesmerized by him with two things. Outside of his ability to communicate the word, I was admired him for being able to play tennis and being able to speak French.
Well-rounded. He was well-rounded.
Yeah, he was well-rounded.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, switching gears a little bit.
Okay.
So I know that you volunteered, I believe, with UNCF.
Yes.
I have to ask, how did you get your actual start when it comes to event planning?
Well, it goes back to UNCF.
Okay.
That's actually where it started. It started as a volunteer.
Okay.
I would see these beautiful black people dressed up around Christmas time for the Lou Rawls United Parade of Stars telethon, which supported the United Negro College Fund.
Yes.
And I would be like, okay, I want to go to where they're going.
Yeah.
I want to wear a tuxedo one day. I want to look good. And so when I became of age to be a volunteer in the telethon, I did. And that was all I could do was volunteer because I couldn't afford the price to buy a ticket. But I could lend my voice and my skills and be of service and answer the telephone. So that's how it started. And then I would go there all the time to participate with the Parade of Stars telethon. Around the time I started working for United Airlines.
Okay.
So that crafted my skills of being able to understand good customer service.
Yes.
Because when I got hired, the service was different. Flight attendants would come through the aisle and carve the steaks and all of that. It was It was very a different level of service than what you see today.
Okay, understood.
and actually, it's so interesting though. Today, I was trying to calculate it. Today that we're talking today is very important because this is my anniversary date for United Airlines,
really?
May 17th. Yeah,
happy anniversary.
Yeah, this is my United anniversaries and my nephew's birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday!
Yeah, he's a pharmacist. He's doing this thing.
Okay.
He's growing up. Yeah. So, Chicago was great, and being able to participate as a volunteer and be of service. I mean, you learn so much. I mean, I learned stuff of the importance of just putting envelopes in order, just making sure people's names are spelled correctly, just making sure how to lay out organize a silent auction table.
Yes.
Things that, you're not really taught that in school, but those doing it well and effectively helps makes the process smooth. And I just learned it by volunteering and giving opportunities to people to go to historically Black colleges and universities, which is one of the things I love about that. And then when I knew that this was for me, is that when Lou Rawls, years later, I would be in Los Angeles and Lou Rawls passed away. And I planned his services.
Okay.
And then as I add on to that, one of my clients, I have a wedding at her house coming up in November. She lives in the home that Lou Rawls lived in Los Angeles.
Wow. Yeah.
So he's always here. And actually, I mean, let's just face it. When you see people like our current vice president, who's graduated from an HBCU.
Yes, she did.
And that was the purpose of, I should say, our vice president and someone who I've had the pleasure and honor of working with in a couple of events for her. It's Lou Rawls lives today in so many of our lives for what he represented, which was really to get the voice out there and financial support for HBCUs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, so many questions that are in my head, but very exciting things. So one I would have to ask, in volunteering for UNCF, right? Obviously, you just mentioned the different skill sets that you learned. It sounds like your organizational skills, right, that you obviously need to be an event planner just kind of came naturally.
Well, organized, unorganized person.
Okay. Talk to me about that. Okay. That's interesting.
As an organized, unorganized person.
Okay.
I mean, I have my own ways of doing things at different times.
Clearly they work for you.
They work for me. And that's the important, that's in every very, very important thing is that you have to do what works for you.
Yeah.
Some people, they like to graph things and all of that. I'm like, no, that's not really me. I don't enjoy all of that, but I know how to pull it together.
Yes.
I know what makes a difference.
Yes.
And so, I am organized, but I can be an organized, unorganized person.
Okay.
Some of my team, they're like, would you do this disorganized? I'm like, well, I am organized. It comes out. But I'm just not organized the way that they want me to be organized.
Understood.
Yeah.
Well, flash forward, right? Yes. So you've talked about your beginnings with UNCF. Now we have WP Miller Special Events Company, right? One-stop shop production company. Can you talk to me about that? For those who don't know, kind of define for our viewers what one-stop shop in the event world truly means.
So, in coming of this event industry, I had to kind of figure it out.
Okay.
There wasn't really like a guide or anyone that I can go to when I first started to ask questions. And to a point, it's still like that. Because different regions work differently. Things that you may see popular here are different in other places. You have different rules and regulations here than you would, if you're doing destination events as we do.
Oh, yes.
And other places as well. I remember a time when I did a wedding in Curacao. They were not concerned with those flowers, the fanfare, as I call it, the fanfare of the fabulousness. They were concerned about you had to have 6 witnesses to witness this commitment that the couple were making to each other.
Okay.
And I want to say that there was a requirement that each of those witnesses had to be affiliated or associated with the couple for at least 10 years.
Okay.
And that had to be proven. And so, they made to me, the way I took that is that they're not making this marriage things be so easy.
They're not.
Which means that divorce is not going to be as easy either.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I took it there. So it's, coming of age, what I sort of branded my company as is a one-stop shop for all of your entertainment needs. And with that, throughout this over 20 plus careers, I learned about stationery.
Okay.
I learned about the touch of paper, the feel of paper, how the different printing techniques. When it comes to home entertainment, I learned how to do a dinner party for 4 or 6, as well as entertain 300 or 400 in the room.
Yes.
I when it comes to logistics and lighting, I learned as to what color looks good on different audiences, how to bring the stage decor to life, how to illuminate the stage decor.
Yes.
I learned all of that and I'm constantly learning, but that was all important to me because what we do as event planners, you tell a story. You give an experience and you tell the story. And so to me, every event should be different because everyone has a different story.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah, that's, so it came to be of that. And then I learned. Fortunately, I work with a lot of people that I learned things from. And I want to add on to that. It's so important about giving back because this is a big pillar in my career. And that was a wedding I did for Shirley Ralph.
Okay.
So I remember when I was working at United sponsored a charity event that Cheryl has been doing for, I think we're almost 30 years now. It's called Diva Simply Singing. Okay. And it's a evening of music to benefit those affected by HIV and AIDS. Yes.
I've seen it on a TV show.
You probably have. Yes. So Cheryl has been doing that. And I remember that United, Georgina Hurd was a colleague of mine at United who was responsible for engaging United Airlines into community affairs. Okay. And so she needed some volunteers to help at Cheryl's event. So I helped at that event, met Cheryl, but didn't really get a chance to interact with. I think we helped put up some signs and posters or whatever we did and it did it well. So now I say that fast forward, years later, a friend of mine that does hair, Eric Childress, he said, "Oh yeah, Shirley Ralph is getting married." I said, "Oh, I didn't know that." I said, "I would love to do the invitations and everything for her wedding." And then he said, "Okay, I will contact Dale McDonald, who's also from Chicago, who did her makeup, and see if we can put y'all together." Yes. But let me tell you how God worked. The next day, I went downtown. I'm in a store. Guess who walked up next to me? Shirley Ralph. And she always has a saying that I've always engaged into my life. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Hey. And so I had a DVD made of the different type of invitations we did. Yes. And I was able to pull it out right then and say, "Miss Ralph.
I love that.
I hear you're getting married." And she looked at me like, "Well, who's telling you all of my business?" Yes. And I said, "Well, we first met through Georgina Hurd, and I was working for United Airlines, and I volunteered at one of your events." So they got her ear. She's like, "Oh." So that's how I hear you're getting married. And I was able to present her with one of my DVDs where she went to her car, and there were cars back then that had DVD players in the car. And she looked at it, and before I can get to my car, she's like, "Are you available to meet me at my home that evening?" Yes. And so I met her at home that evening, and we started talking about the wedding invitation. And that relationship blossomed into me being her wedding producer.
Very nice.
Yeah. So it just full circle. And I can just tell you the art of giving back has just come full circle on so many occasions. Like I'm beginning to lose count.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
So how has business been, right? I have to obviously ask, we just had, we're still actively in it, but COVID. Yeah. How has business been? What opportunities did you take to kind of revitalize yourself and your business while we were in this downtime?
First opportunity that I took was to sit down and be quiet and still. Because I tell you is that, we have been working around the clock, not only doing, the social engagements, but we also do conventions and conferences. And so when COVID came to be, I thought it was going to be like 2 months. And I was like, okay, we'll get through that. And I had just brought my home here in Compton. And so this was an opportunity to do some landscaping and yard work and buying some plants and stuff like that to enhance the look of it. So I was looking at that, but then it dawned on me, I said, we're going to be in this here a little bit longer. And so it actually became, what would I say? It became challenging. And not only became challenging for me, but a part of my team. I was more concerned about them. How would they survive since we don't have the work to do anymore?
Right.
How do we transition and pivot? Well, I did find myself doing some things virtual, and I realized I didn't like it. Okay. I don't like virtual event planning. I don't like anything that pushing a button or by not pushing a button could make everything go haywire. Because I was this technology is not my strong suit. So we did have a couple of small things, during COVID. But one of the things that I did, I created a candle line. I stopped and started looking and say, what other opportunities are out there?
Yes.
And the candle line really came up because whenever I would do an event, I never talked to my clients about it, but I always created a scent that I thought complemented what their purpose and mission was, and I would burn it through during the event.
Oh, wow.
And so I didn't tell them about it. It was just something that I just did.
Yes.
And so last summer while I was planning a wedding for Neicy and Jessica, and I created a candle for them, and I went over and burnt it the night before. And it was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yes.
And then it dawned on me, I said, wait a minute, maybe I can start selling these scents that I'm spending time blending together, and I've blended together over years. And so, that's what I did.
If I may ask, this is actually a part of your candle line, correct?
Yep. So this is what I first came out with.
Okay.
Yeah. So I called my company Opulent Scented Moments.
Yes.
And, a motto of my event planning company is we got something in common. It's the moments.
Yes.
And it's their events, their moments. We create moments.
Absolutely.
And so a big part of creating the moment is engaging the 5 senses. And the sense of smell is actually the most sensitive sense that we have as human beings. Okay. And so this was the first candle that I created, and I love the chocolate vessels, and I thought it was, it's great. It's perfect for illuminating the smell in one room or bathroom or something like that.
I absolutely love the smell. So, I got a chance to smell them earlier.
Thank you.
I really like the presentation, right? It makes sense, right? Because you're the king doing events, right? So it makes sense that your candle line would have the aesthetics that it does.
Thank you.
But you did a really good job.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. So about how long, if I may ask, I know that you were kind of doing that during the pandemic, but in terms of concept to actually getting here.
Well, it's ever evolving. So we evolved from that to gift sets.
Yes. Okay. Very nice.
So now these floral vases were vases that I actually used at different events.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
And so, with the 3 sets, they became great gifts for closing gifts for people close on their home.
Smart.
Yeah. And then corporate gifts.
Yes.
And each of them have a different sense, which represents different things. And the beauty of them is that they're candle now, but then afterwards, they can be a vase for something else.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
You can repurpose them.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we have some of the larger ones because I've also learned that a larger homes have larger floor plans. So they may need a candle that has more than the 1 wick, a 3 wick or 5 wick, may be more suitable for their home. And we're evolving and we're learning. So I'm still learning. Yeah.
I love that. So of course I want some. I have to get some, and I know that our viewers will. So how can they go about that?
So you have 2 ways. On my website, WP Miller Special Events, there's a shop section.
Yes.
You can simply go there and we have the fragrances listed.
Very
Or
nice.
Opulent Scented Moments is actually the name of the candle line.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go there as well, and you can purchase them as well. And send me a DM at WP Miller Moments or at Opulent Scented Moments.
Yes.
They're there. But this has been a great process because I've actually had to sit down and think about how do I sell a product, which is different for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to selling a service.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, okay, well, how do I sell a product?
Yes.
And in the social media world.
Okay.
And the first things that most people think of when they want to buy a candle is, what does it smell like?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be creative with, the names because we have 10 scents.
Okay.
And so I felt, again, what the need was to tell a story. And so the way that I do is that, so Elcenia is one of my fragrances, which is named after my mom.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah, I have an aunt that was very dear to me. Her name was Mentoria. So I have a fragrance that's really popular. It's called Mint.
Okay.
And so when we look at the descriptions, I sort of describe the type of moment that this candle is suitable for. Mm. And it has been working. Mm-hmm. I really can't wait until we really open up and I'm able to, go on tour and do some shows with them so people can really get into the essence of what the fragrance smells like.
You're creating a personal experience for your customers.
Everything is about the experience.
I love that.
Everything is.
Of course you would say that. I love that.
Yeah.
So shifting back to kind of experiences and events in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? Because I'm sure there's a lot of just aspiring event planners that will see this interview. What are the biggest or the 3 traits that you would say every event planner needs?
Well, I would say the first trait is let them know that the event industry is over a $5 billion industry.
That's $5 billion.
$5 billion. Okay. It's not, when you look at planning events, it's about logistics, mm-hmm. event design, mm-hmm. event management. Mm-hmm. It's not always about the fanfare of the fabulous tablecloths and the decor and all of that. So you have to do your research and your homework.
Yes.
And you have to realize that there are long-lasting careers in the event industry that you can work independent or you can work, for a company or corporation.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, one of my dearest friends, Monique Kraft Boyd, for years, she ran all events that took place at the Dallas Cowboy AT&T Stadium. Mm. Now she is doing all of the events that are taking place here in California at the SoFi Stadium.
Very nice.
Beautiful lady, amazing career. I mean, there are corporate events, there are events for nonprofits, there are events, opportunities in conferences, conventions. And so the person that wants to get into this industry, I would want them to realize is that you can have a rewarding career in this industry, but you need to do your homework and prepare for it. Mm-hmm. And if you do your homework and prepare for it, everything else should manifest. Mm-hmm. Find get involved. There are a lot of different convention trade shows mm-hmm. For the event professionals.
Absolutely.
And then find yourself a mentor, someone that's been in the industry for a long time that you can reach out to. Unfortunately, when I came into this industry, it was very competitive. Okay. But I think a lot of planners today have evolved to realize that, we're stronger united than divided. It's better as community over competition. Mm-hmm. When you look at what happened during COVID, people travel for weddings. Yes. They travel to see conferences. Yes. They travel for sporting events. Yes. All are reasons for that engage an event planner or an event producer. Mm-hmm. Guess what? The airlines get bailed out by the government mm-hmm. for COVID. But the event industry didn't. I know. Yeah. And so you look up something that's something to think about. Mm-hmm. And then, the event industry include photographers, mm-hmm. videographers, mm-hmm. Entertainments. Yeah. It's, don't just limit yourself to thinking that you have to, it's about planning, but it's about the production and telling the story. So how do you tell the story that you want to tell?
Mm-hmm.
How do you use your skill set?
Absolutely. I'm getting so much from this conversation, genuinely. I have to tell you, so I actually have an event management background, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy that you just kind of used your platform, right, to speak on the fact that, the hospitality industry didn't necessarily get bailed out.
No,
so
we didn't.
I have went to school for hospitality management, then proceeded to event management, worked in hospitality for about 10 years, right? And then COVID came. Now there's a blessing in everything. Yeah. But with that being said, for those who don't know necessarily kind of the stages of an event, can you talk about those? And can you also talk about what you found to be your favorite stage?
Oh, wow. Well, I think that it depends on the type of event, first of all.
Okay, yes.
It depends on that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if there is one particular right way to approach the event, because some of my clients might call me to do something in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Pressure.
So, I expect them to call, so it's not a pressure. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to saying maybe the first stage of it is what my friend Shirley said. Yeah. Shirley Ralph said, you got to be ready. Yeah. Stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
True. Message. Very true. Very true.
Stay ready. You don't have to get ready. So like with this suit, when this suit is coming off, it's going to the cleaners. Yeah. So the next time I need to put on the suit, boom, I got it ready.
That's good.
Have you ever been around somebody to want to do something and they're like, oh, I don't have no dress. Oh, I got to put this in the cleaners. Well, you know what? If that's the personality that you have, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. Because sometimes opportunities comes quick.
Absolutely.
It's just like the news. There was a time when you look at the news, what happened today may be, it was acceptable to be printed in tomorrow's newspaper.
Right.
Something happened at 12 o'clock. Yeah. It needs to be out there at 1 o'clock.
Yes. At the latest.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Very true.
Yes.
So I know that you've planned a lot of events, right, for such notable people.
Yes.
Can you tell me about a few that were just really, really memorable to you? I'm sure all of them are special, but what are the most memorable?
So I think about, they're all memorable for different reasons, but I will tell you that I remember Holly Robinson's Pete's 50th birthday. Okay. And she put a lot of trust in me. Yeah. And for one, she never did a walkthrough of the venue with me. Okay. She showed up 2 hours before the party. And then showing up then, it was just for her to do a sound check with her good friends in Vogue who performed.
Vogue. Yes. That's trust.
And so the venue was a friend of hers home in Malibu that overlooked the Pacific Ocean. Okay. And I tell you that it was a great experience because people really adopted to Holly's personality and let their hair down and had a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I tell you that it was really, really, it was a good time. Mm-hmm. That was a good time for a party, just, slaying perspective. I have so many.
Please share. Yeah. Please.
I remember my friend Violet Palmer, who was the first female referee to become a part of the NBA. Okay. She got married to her longtime partner, Tanya. Now, they had been together for, 15 to 20 years, but, when the laws allowed same-sex couples to get married, yes, to see the two of them be able to make it official, yes, that brought tears to my eyes, mm-hmm, because we already knew that their happiness was there and they loved and supported each other, yeah, had been for years, but to see that now that it was absolutely official, it was great. When I remember when Cheryl Lee Ralph got married, her and Senator Vincent Hughes, being able to work with so many greats who were, I'm going to say, members of the wedding party. I would not call them bridesmaids. Okay. But to work with, a part of that wedding party when you have Jennifer Lewis, Patti LaBelle, Loretta Devine, Neicy Nash, yes, AJ Johnson, Judge Maybelline, all of these are members of the wedding party. Wow. it's like, wow, you get a chance to get to know and work with, so many, great people. And so, I mean, and of course, the events that I've done for our current Vice President, Senator Kamala Harris. It's so interesting that I always remember, this is one thing that kind of, I don't think I've never really said this too much, but she was a guest at Holly's 50th party.
Okay.
And initially she was not going to make it. And it was a RSVP, invitation only celebration. And so I got a call, and it was then Attorney General Kamala Harris calling me to say I'm going to be able to make the party.
Wow.
So I hung the phone up. I was like, the California State Attorneys General just called me on the phone.
Yeah.
And then, she came to the event. Of course, she had a good time. She later ran, had a successful rate as our California senator.
Yes.
And then now to see her as the current Vice President of the United States, just to see that progress there. And to be able to have worked with her, I was like, you know what, William? You better up your game. You got more to do.
Yeah,
because these people are moving, people that you work with are moving on. So it's great. But I will say that the other thing that I did enjoy for Holly's event is that it was a party with a purpose.
Okay.
And that the benefit is like, I don't need any birthday gifts. I don't want them. Mm-hmm. Support the foundation.
Nice.
And so we supported the Holly Rod Foundation, which is a foundation that she and her husband had developed to help families working with autism and Parkinson's.
Okay.
And so that was great. I think that was probably the best cake presentation that my company has done to date.
Nice.
When you have Marcus Allen and Magic Johnson presenting her with her birthday cake, it's like, oh.
It doesn't get any bigger than that.
Listen,
I love it. So switching gears just a little bit, right?
Okay.
We've talked about kind of all these huge, memorable moments with someone as successful as you, right? I also want to pick your brain a little bit. So sometimes life will throw at us trials and tribulations, right? What has been your strategy for overcoming adversity?
Well, I think adversities and challenges are going to always be there.
Yeah.
I think it's about your perspective on how you view them.
Yes.
I often tell people that Satan, the devil, he's going to be on his job. His job is to seek, devour, and destroy. Okay, my job as a Christian is to store up all of my faith, knowing that with my belief in God, all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord.
Yes.
And so if I know that, I'm encouraged.
Yeah.
I also like to be around other people that share similar philosophies that encourage me to be a better person. My mind goes, another scripture, as iron sharpens iron. I need to be around somebody else who's strong, that's gonna and push me to do more, to say, yes, you can, or you're not doing enough, and so that we grow together, we be encouraged together. As my friend Mickey Taylor says, you got to have that celebration circle, people that you can pick up the phone and call to and speak honestly.
Yes.
Going back to, the days of, I remember growing up, I grew up to this song, Be Grateful, and by Walter Hawkins, and the words stood up. God did not always promise that every day is going to be full of sunshine. You're going to have some rainy days. You have some days that are full of pain, but you've got to push through and persevere. And if you're having a bad day, you know what I've learned? It's okay to enjoy your bad day.
Okay.
If you don't feel like getting up, okay, you know what? I'm sitting in the bed all day.
Yeah.
If I want to be down, you know what? Let me be down. But knowing that you don't want to stay there.
Yeah.
Just be there for a moment and then get on up.
That's quotable. Enjoy your bad day.
Enjoy your bad day.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Listen, that's a word for the people. I'm like, get it together. Right? That's good.
Make it a good bad day.
Yeah.
Just mope, do whatever you want to do, cry, whatever.
Yeah. Very nice. Listen, so with that being said then, what special projects do you have?
Oh, wow.
What's in the
I have a
works?
couple of conventions coming up, a couple of conferences. I'm excited about something I'm going to do for myself. I won't talk about it yet.
Okay. We'll get the exclusive later.
Yeah. Something that I want to do that's going to be special.
Okay.
But I think the most special projects for me is to continue to educate and inspire other people that are coming after me, because it's important for me to transfer this information and knowledge to other people so they can be a part of this industry and carry the legacy on. In fact, I'm looking of transitioning out to, someone has approached me about designing sets on movies.
Okay.
And I think I can do that. It's interesting. A lot of people ask me to design their homes. And I'm like, I don't like that, because when I design an event, I just need the event to look good for 4 hours.
Okay.
So what you might see that look like a wall with the beautiful draping, it may be a facade. Whereas in a home, it needs to be perfect for that home.
Yeah.
But on the set, I might be able to get away with some facades. And again, use the creative talents of designing to complement telling the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, the only thing I will say is you might also want to reconsider the home design, though, because yours is lovely. So I still think you could do that too.
Thank you. It's lovely for me. I mean, but it's with my artwork around here.
Yes.
That's all done by my brother.
Really?
Yeah. And he has a story. He graduated college. He went to the military.
Okay.
And then at a later, about 30, when my father became ill with cancer, he had some mental challenges.
Okay.
And he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Wow.
And at a place that he was going to for service and community, he was drawn. I had never seen him color.
Okay.
And some of his work has been displayed in some museum exhibits.
Very nice.
Some corporations have engaged him to have their artwork in their lobbies. And we, as a family, was not even aware that this is where God took him to do this. And so when I designed my home, I wanted to have all of his work that I brought from him. He made me buy them. And so I brought them. And then, at 50 years of age, of all the things in the world he wanted to do at 50, he decides to make a baby.
Okay, well.
and I have some of her artwork in the back of things that she's done. So
I absolutely love them.
So, so I think that being in your home is your palace. It should be your place of serenity, a place where you're telling your own stories. So I can tell my story, but it's sometimes hard to pull out other people's. Like, what is your story? How do you like to feel at your home?
Right.
So
peaceful. So understood. Understood. Well, on that note, again, sincerely, thank you so much for inviting us into your palace. Your place of serenity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and all the best.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Until next time, everyone. Again, I'm Oroscia L, and you have officially lived in the moment.
Son of the man, from this sound producer.